Delighted to say we're now joined this evening by Energy Ambassador, Ireland and Leinster player Jordan Larmour. Jordan has been taking part in a two-part documentary which has been looking at his 2019-20 season. And Jordan, it's been a little bit unusual. While the filmmakers were going around, they didn't get the traditional finish to the season that we would have expected in May. And here we are now, a couple of weeks out from rugby returning on the 22nd of August.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It was strange enough times, but look, rugby's getting back soon. We've been back training now for a few weeks. Training's been going well, and look, it's hugely exciting getting back to rugby, and we're all raring to go.
Is it a huge itch to actually get back onto the field now? Because it's pretty much 5 months since the Six Nations was brought to a conclusion. By the time you get back out for these two interprovincial games at the Aviva Stadium at the end of this month, I'd imagine you're just kind of raring to go at this stage.
Yeah, 100%. We finished off with the English game, finished off with a loss, and we've had that sitting with us. Anytime after a loss, you just want to get straight back on the pitch and get back to winning. But look, we haven't played a game now for 5 months, and we've been training away now, building up nicely, and we're just really looking forward to getting back out on the pitch.
Yeah, because Andy Farrell was asked about that last week when he was giving his update ahead of the return to rugby, and he was asked, was it a good time maybe to have a break after what happened at Twickenham? And he said, no, genuinely, there was a feeling in the camp after everyone went through the bits and pieces on the Monday session that everyone was excited about getting back out and playing these games against Italy and France. Was that the feeling among the player group that week?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, we were really disappointed on a few aspects of the game. The game kind of got away from us, and like I said, anytime after a loss, you just want to get back out on the pitch, and we didn't have the opportunity to do that, so that was frustrating. But obviously, we knew what was going on in the world, and there's bigger things in rugby. But we were just really looking forward to getting back out and putting in a good performance against Italy. That didn't happen now, so. With these games coming up now, we're just really looking forward to getting back out on the pitch.
Was it good as a player as well to get some clarity about what the rest of the season is going to look like? Because we know now that on the last 2 weekends of October, you've got Italy at home, that trip to Paris on Halloween weekend, and then this new 8-game series, which I'm sure there'll be more detail, but effectively by the middle of November, this 8-game series will take place. At least now you kind of know where your season is actually mapping out to.
Yeah, definitely. I think all the lads, we like to have clarity and know what we're doing each week. So obviously we're still taking it game by game. We're not looking too far ahead into the future. And look, the first game against Munster in the Aviva doesn't really get much bigger than that. Those games are always a bit spicy, and it'll be a good test. It's always a physical battle. In training we've been doing a bit of live stuff to try to get the bodies used to taking hits and making hits again. So look, it should be good, and I'm sure everyone's excited to get back watching rugby as well.
Orgie Sneeman was saying that last week at Munster. He was saying that it was almost the perfect place for him to make his debut. He was looking forward to a game that, albeit it's going to be players coming back in, maybe a little bit rusty after the break, but you're coming back into a fixture that sharpens the mind perfectly. The two rivals taking on each other in what could be the first of a couple of meetings in short succession in the Pro 14.
Yeah, definitely. Munster are a quality side, and it'll be a big test for us. Obviously, we haven't played a game for 5 months now. We've been just training away, and there probably will be a little bit of rustiness there, and even having no crowds there, that's definitely going to be a bit weird, especially in the warm-up. I think, looking around and seeing just an empty stadium, but I think as soon as the game gets going, we'll kind of be into the flow of things and thinking about our next job and the job at hand. But really looking forward to it.
It is going to be unusual. I mean, I think it was compared a few times to being almost like going back to club rugby or underage rugby, where there's only going to be the support staff around at a cavernous Aviva Stadium, and that's in all likelihood going to be the case for the Saracens quarter-final in the Heineken Champions Cup next month too. It's going to be very unusual to play a series of big games for you at provincial level over the next month and to look up at empty stands.
Yeah, it's going to be really weird. We've been training down a bit in the RDS just to try to get that feel of playing in an empty stadium, and bit weird just hearing only your own voice. But at the same time, we're back to rugby. We're back to doing what we love to do. So yeah, it is what it is.
I would imagine as well it's going to be very unusual when you're making those calls, whether it's at full back or on the wing, and you're going to be hearing literally everything that the other team is saying, even when they're a distance away.
Yeah, no, it will be. We won't know what they'll be calling stuff, but we won't know what they're doing, and it'll be the same for them. But we might learn a few of their calls, they might learn a few of our calls, and I actually didn't think about that just till now. That will be weird. So yeah, but that's the way it is now, and we're just going to have to deal with that.
We're going to hear a bit about your lockdown experience when we watch these couple of episodes going up for Energy on their social media over the next couple of weeks. And I'm sure when the cameras were tracking you at a time during lockdown, they've captured some of that experience that you will have had. But as an athlete, what were those few months like for you, where you're right in the peak of your season, probably the peak of your fitness, getting ready for a very busy period, country and province, and then everything just grinds to a halt until the end of this summer? What was the experience like for you?
Yeah, I suppose lockdown, it had its ups and its downs. As soon as it happened, Leinster, they gave us sorry, I'm just going to come home.
Yeah,
They gave us a program to follow. It was 3 running sessions a week, 3 gym sessions. I know we found a bit of time myself to kind of squeeze in a few extra gym sessions here and there. But yeah, that kept us ticking over, kept us, lifting heavy in the gym, getting the body right, keeping the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes all ticking over. So, when we were out running, we wouldn't have those soft tissue injuries. But yeah, it also gave us a bit of time I was doing a lot of skill work at the time, hand-eye coordination, doing a bit of kicking, high ball work, a few footwork drills. So, just kind of, I filled my day with training, it was good also to let the body, rest up. I'd say a few of us had a few niggles, and it gave them time to heal and get stronger. So, it wasn't all bad. I definitely like to be out and about doing things. So when I had to stay a certain distance from my home and stuff was tough, but I made the best of a bad situation.
I was just thinking, when it comes to the demands of the normal season, it's fixture after fixture. Then you get your bit of a break, and understandably you're back into pre-season, and then you're back into the basically the gamut of fixtures happening over and over again. It's almost like a conveyor belt each season. Given the bit of a break, you say you were trying to work on some specific parts of your game. It probably gives you a chance for some reflection and maybe some fine-tuning, which wouldn't normally be there if the season went by as it normally does.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, during the season, it's just game after game, week in, week out. So with a bit of time off, we could kind of sit back and reflect and say, even talking with the coaches, we had a few one-on-one Zoom calls and just talking on areas where we think we can get better, what we're strong at, things like that. So it definitely gave me the chance to reflect on where I need to be better at, and areas that I'm good at, but I can keep improving on. So that was also a good thing about the lockdown.
When it comes to injury prevention, and you mentioned those muscle injuries that people have picked up, and even just watching the Europa League and Champions League over the last couple of weeks, so many people going down with muscle injuries, the strain of repeated fixtures coming after a period where players weren't playing for months. I would imagine injury prevention becomes quite important now over the next while, and making sure you get that rest and recovery in too.
100%. Because, you go from doing 3 sessions a week to 4 or 5 sessions a week. So it ramps up again, and intensity and training ramps up. So, you got to be getting your sleep, your nutrition, your recovery protocols, whether it's going for a swim in the sea or, getting in the Normatex. That's all got to be on point, and, kind of just reduce the risk of injury. But I think the strength and conditioning staff in Leinster and the physios and the backroom staff, they do a really good job at, keeping our rehab and prehab programs going, making sure we're all ticking over and not picking up any soft tissue injuries and just trying to reduce the risk of that.
When it came to making those calls on the pitch, I deliberately mentioned you could be at 15, you could be playing on the wing because we don't know as yet. Are you getting to that point now where you're feeling quite comfortable at fullback? Because when you mentioned that you're doing some work on high fielding and kicking, I assume that has number 15 at mind a little bit there.
Yeah, I suppose it does. I like this season I've been playing a lot of 15, training a lot of 15, so I'm getting more comfortable at 15 and what the demands as a 15 are placed on you and what you need as a 15. So I suppose the more you get to play in a position, the more comfortable and the more understanding you have of that position. So I'm really enjoying playing 15 at the moment. I'm training there a good bit, I'm just really enjoying it.
When players are blessed with your type of pace, there's an argument that maybe getting on the ball at 15 might even be preferential to picking it up on the wing, because in all likelihood, you pick it up on the wing, you're working in very, very tight spaces. You pick it up at 15, I'm guessing you get a little bit of time to get your head up and then make a decision where you're going to run into.
Yeah, I suppose, you get a little bit more time. It's not that much, especially at the top end. It's split second stuff up there. But yeah, it's been good and I've really been enjoying it. And you kind of have that little bit more freedom to kind of roam and, pick down the short sides and, you can kind of step into first, second receiver. So yeah, it is good and you do have that little bit more time, but it's not much more.
And I suppose working on that kind of decision making has been a key part to your adaptation to playing at 15 for both Leinster and the games you played for Ireland. Because I'm sure when you got there initially, probably your first instinct is, I'm going to try and run this ball back. Now you have to think about when you're going to kick, when it's best to go into contact. And one of the things I noticed, particularly in the World Cup warm-up games where you played a bit of 15 last year, is that you're probably just having to take that conservative option maybe a little bit more than you would have when you first went into 15.
Yeah, I think, playing as a ball player and a playmaker, it definitely doesn't come naturally to me. I'm more of a running with the ball in hand. So it's a skill that I've been working on, talking a bit about with the coaches as well. So, trying to work on that in training and stepping up and making a few calls, just to try to get myself a bit more comfortable in that role. With some of the players we have in Leinster, I'll just kind of watch them and see how they do it and then try kind of replicate that. It's been good. It's been challenging as well at the same time. I've got it wrong a few times, but it's all about learning, especially in training. So I'm just going to keep working on that skill and hopefully getting better at it.
When it comes to learning, Rob Kearney was saying to us a couple of months ago, he's not sure what the future is going to be beyond the short-term contract extension that he signed. He could well be looking for another club or making a decision about his future in rugby after the season, but he's letting all that wait until after potentially Leinster in a couple of important cup competitions. But how much, Jordan, have you been able to learn from having Rob Kearney around the club, having a guy with so much international experience, a Lion, and how much he's won in the blue of Leinster as well? I'm sure you've learned a tremendous amount from while he's been there.
Yeah, 100%. He's been a really big help to me and my development, especially at 15. Just trying to pick his brains and see what he thinks and see how he does things. I grew up watching him. He's a class act on and off the field. So, it's been really good getting to work with him every day and seeing how he does things and, seeing where I can improve on and get better. And, he's always up for helping me out and talking through things. So he's been a huge help for me. I'm going to continue just to keep picking his brains and keep learning from him.
And I would imagine as well, having a player who's so experienced and having played in so many big games right behind you when you're contesting a jersey currently, that keeps your level of performance up, because you have to. If that drops off in any way, Rob Kearney's ready to step back in.
100%. I think the big thing we have in Leinster is competition for places. That drives standards. And I think it's a really important thing to have in a club and in a team environment. That competition, keep pushing each other on. So, 100%. You know, if you don't play on the weekend, or you're not training well, you know, there's someone behind you that's going to come up and take the jersey. So, you know, kind of having that in the back of your head, kind of, you know, might make you do that extra 5 or 10 minutes after training or before training, just to make sure you're nailed on and that skill. So yeah, I think competition is a really good thing to have in a team environment.
Was chatting to James Lowe last summer while you guys were away at the World Cup in Japan, and I asked him about your best position, and he thought 15 is a good place for him to develop. I think he could well end up back in the wing, or maybe even as a centre at some point. He was talking about the diversity of your skills. Now, he's in the news a little bit at the moment because come November, he's going to be eligible to play in that 8-game series for Ireland if Andy Farrell sees fit to pick him. Given that he had a chance to have a say on you, I'll give you a chance to reverse it back on him now. What would James Lowe add to the Ireland squad if he was to join you as an international teammate as well as a Leinster teammate then?
Yeah, I think you know, when he came into Leinster, he had a big impact. You know, the way he plays the game, he's unbelievable, really. And, you know, the different types of skills he has, his offloading abilities, his carrying ability, you know, in defence, some of the shots he's put in. So, yeah, he's a class act as well. And I think in any team that he gets put into, he'd have a big impact on it. You know, he's a big time player. Like, he steps up for the big games. And, you know, having him on the pitch when you're out there playing, you always know he's going to put a good shift in. And yeah, even when he's carrying, always expect the ball, because, you know, he can offload from anywhere. So yeah, he's a great man to have on your team. And yeah, he's a big time player.
I'm sure for Leinster, from a purely selfish point of view for the province, it'll be quite helpful when he's Irish qualified too, that you won't have this issue whereby maybe Leo Cullen is having to pick between what non-Irish players he puts on the bench or into the team, because James missed a few big games as a result of that. I'm sure it'll be quite helpful when he has that nice little Irish qualified sign beside his name.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll probably make the coach's job a bit easier. They're not, you know, picking who's going to play this game next game. So, yeah, you know, that would probably help out the coaches as well. But yeah, it's exciting for James, and it'd be cool to see where he is, you know, down the line.
Warren Gatland was speaking about your Leinster senior coach in Stuart Lancaster, and I'm not surprised at all that he was looking at him as a potential addition for the Lions next summer against South Africa. Obviously, a lot probably has to be discussed with Leinster about Stuart's availability and whatever else, but I know Andy Farrell was saying to us last week that he thinks Stuart would be an ideal person to come in and be part of that Lions backroom team. What is Stuart Lancaster like as a guy to work with day to day with Leinster then?
Stuart's been brilliant. You know, he's been really good for Leinster, and yeah, you know, getting to work with him every day and getting to chat to him and you know, see what he's thinking, and you know, gives you things to work on. And he's a big man for always showing you clips of other teams and you know, giving you ideas, and you know, trying to be creative and always thinking and always having a point of view on things, and you know, how we went in games, how other teams went in games. You know, he's big for getting feedback, and he's also very big for player led. So us leading it, not the coaches screaming at us. You know, we set the standards. So he's been brilliant for us and brilliant for me. You know, he's always giving me things to work on and things to think about. And yeah, he's been really good for us.
And just looking at it from the outside in, it seems there's actually a really good dynamic there between Leo Cullen and Stuart Lancaster. It's like Stuart has his brief in terms of what he does, and Leo seems to be just excellent at bringing everything together as a leader and as, you know, effectively almost like a team manager for you guys too. He seems to be brilliant at bringing all these strands of the coaching team together.
Yeah, I think so. You know, the two of them working together, you know, it's a really good match, and you know, they do a lot for us, and you know, we always want to go out on the weekend and you know, do a good job for them and make them proud. Yeah, I think the whole team in Leinster, from the coaches to the backroom staff to the players, I think we're in a really good place at the moment, and you know, hopefully we can finish this season on a high.
Mentioned the Lions. That's a long way away now at this point. It's 11 months away before Lions squad would be picked and would travel down to play the Springboks. But is it something kind of in the back of your mind that you'd love to get selected to play in South Africa next year?
To be honest, I haven't really thought a huge amount of it. Obviously, I'd love to be involved and everything like that, but I haven't really been thinking about that. All I've been focusing on is getting back playing, trying to get back on the pitch and when that happens, just put my best foot forward and start playing well and things can go from there. But my mindset at the moment is just get back playing game by game and not looking too far ahead into the future.
When it comes to those fixtures that are coming up, I would imagine one that jumps out straight away is Sarries in the quarterfinals in Europe. The motivation is probably quite easy ahead of that when you just look back to the pain of St James's Park last year in the final. I'm sure you'll feel that you're determined to go out and right a few wrongs when that game comes around next month.
Yeah, definitely. I've been thinking about that game a bit from last year and, kind of the disappointment and the pain it brought on all of us. We probably felt we let ourselves down a bit and look, we're raring to go for that fixture. A few games before that, obviously, to think about and get back playing and start playing well in them. But obviously, that's a big game that's coming up now. And look, we'll be raring to go when it comes around. And it's always going to be a tough game. Sarries are a class team, and we're going to have to be on it that day. So look, it's hugely exciting and like I said, we're just raring to go.
And whatever about their issues they've had off the field and what they're facing for next year in the English second flight, I'm sure Saracens still come into that game as the European champions that you played them last year. They're going to be a very difficult team to actually face on the pitch.
100%. They always are. They always bring that physicality and, with some of the players they have, very smart rugby players and, they know if you overfold one side, they're going down the next and, they'll make a break there. So, like I said, we'll have to have our game plan right. We'll have to be switched on the day and we'll really have to bring the game to them. But yeah, hugely exciting. And, it'll be a tough game, but, hopefully we come out on the right side of it.
Is it a particularly determined Leinster dressing room that you're a part of? Because, after St James's Park last year, it would have been easy enough to just let things slip. You play Munster in a Pro 14 semi-final the next week, but you win that. And then you go to Celtic Park and you take out Glasgow in the final of the Pro 14 and end the season with some silverware on the back of a double the season before. There are players, at your province who've got multiple Heineken medals and have got multiple Pro 14 medals. But it seems every year that determination is there, like this year, given the record, even when you're away with Ireland, the other guys in the squad were able to run off in the Pro 14. Is there just a massive determination for success in that dressing room at the RDS?
Yeah, I'd say there is. Everyone wants to win and going back to the double, getting that taste of success and winning, you're never satisfied and you always want more and more and more. And I think that goes from everyone. We want to win. Every game we go out to play, every trophy that's there, we're all determined and, we want to do our best in that competition. And, ultimately it's like, you just want to win. You just and, we're in a good place at the moment that hopefully we can do that. Nothing's ever guaranteed and you have to work for it. But, look, we're massively determined. We're motivated to finish off the season on a high. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens.
Do you sometimes feel blessed too that you've been able to come into this Leinster squad at the time when it was so successful, that you come in as a young man and everything is very nicely set up with, an experienced squad of players there who've gone and won it all before? That must actually help to integrate when you come into a senior setup. Yeah,
I think it does. And, even talking to a few lads on big occasions, how they deal with the big occasions. And, it comes down to, the more experience you get, the less, I wouldn't say nervous, but more probably kind of comfortable in those situations. So yeah, when I came in, the squad we had was very good, and I think we've we've probably improved a little bit. You know, with the help of the coaches and different players that come in and drive the standards even more. And even the leaders we have among the team. You know, the likes of Johnny as captain, always driving the standards. You know, that's infectious, and you feed off that, and you know, you want to help drive the standards, drive the competition and training, and ultimately you just keep getting better as a team week on week. So, yeah, I think it comes down to just, you know, we have that good squad. You know, we don't look too far out ahead into the future. We take it game by game, and every week, when we play a game, we review it, we learn the lessons, and we try to get better. So, yeah, I think we're in a good place at the moment.
When it came to lockdown, what was the camaraderie like in terms of trying to keep that up? Because I saw some very unusual moustaches and head shaves that took place for charity early on in lockdown, which I'm sure is actually a good way of kind of keeping the spirits up and staying in contact with each other as a connected group too.
Yeah, it's definitely important to stay in contact with all the lads. You know, we had like backs meetings and forwards meetings where we talk about things. We had a few Zoom calls where we're doing a bit of a core workout with 50 lads over Zoom, which was good crack. But yeah, just kind of staying in contact with the lads and seeing what they're up to in lockdown and that kind of stuff was good. You know, a few quizzes here and there, but yeah, it was strange enough times, but you just had to deal with it, and you know, we dealt with it with having meetings about different things and doing a few core workouts over Zoom.
Yeah, look, it's a tricky time because people were talking about pay cuts, and then there was COVID testing when you're getting back to training. I'm sure it was a very nice feeling to get back, because it seems the return to play was very well managed firstly, but to actually get through those first rounds of COVID testing, get the limited training back first, and then to get back to team training, I'm sure that was a big relief to come through all that without any setbacks.
Yeah, it was. You know, I remember just coming back in on the first day after lockdown and kind of bit nervous. Didn't really know what to expect, but hugely exciting to get back training. I think the first week we weren't actually allowed past the rugby ball, so we were just kind of running around doing a few fitness drills and things like that. But every week that went by, we got to do more things. We got to do a bit of skill work, you know, a bit of pad work. Then it just came into more lads being allowed to train, so we could get back into more rugby scenario kind of training. And now we're back doing a bit of live stuff. So I think the way it was managed every week was really good. And that's credit to the backroom staff and everyone in Leinster. So yeah, it was good to get back. Bit nerve-wracking at the start, but look, we're back into it now, and it feels like we've never left.
I think those nerves are perfectly understandable. Did you have any apprehension about going back? Because I've spoken to people in various different sports and they say, look, everything is so unknown. In the case of being a professional athlete, you feel you have a responsibility to go back in. It's part of your job. But it would be understandable if you had any jitters about going back with COVID-19. What was your feeling about going back? Were you reassured going back in, or did you have any concerns?
Well, I think the way it was managed, you know, I didn't really have any concerns. We got our COVID tests and we were in groups. I think there were 6 of us, so it was very well managed. You know, all the equipment was sanitized before and after we used it. You know, the 2 meter social distancing was enforced. So like we were doing everything that we were meant to be doing. So you know, that kind of put any concerns aside, and it just let us focus on our rugby.
Yeah, and I'd imagine, look, as I mentioned, a huge relief that everyone came through the hundreds of cases that were conducted across the 4 provinces. Thankfully, nobody came back with COVID-19. That really, I think, was quite important just for putting everyone's mind at ease at that stage too.
Yeah, definitely. You know, everyone getting tested, everyone coming back negative was a huge relief. And it just meant like we could keep kicking on and training and keep trying to get better. And keep ramping training up, because yeah, you wouldn't want to have any setbacks now, especially with a game in a week and a bit. So yeah, that was very reassuring.
First episode is out of your Energia series. We're going to see the second part coming up soon too. Are you the type of guy who looks back at the documentary footage that you shot, because you have to constantly review yourself for rugby anyway? But will you actually sit down on YouTube and have a look at your contributions, or is that a tricky thing to sit down and watch yourself?
Yeah, I've watched it a few times now, just seen it, and I think the lads have done a really good job with it. I'm very happy with it. And my family, they saw it as well. They thought it was quite good. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what everyone else thinks of it, but I'm pretty happy with it.
Your family are big rugby supporters too. A friend of mine sits in the RDS, I think about 2 seats in front of, usually I think your mum and a few other members of your family
really?
go to games. So
They
they still regularly make their way to the RDS to watch you then. I'm guessing you're in a rugby stronghold of a house then.
Yeah, they do. My parents have always been very supportive of me, even when I was back in school playing hockey and rugby. They'd always be at every match. So they love it, and they can't wait for it to be back on the telly, and hopefully back into the stadiums as well whenever that happens. So yeah, they're hugely supportive of me, and yeah, they're just really looking forward to getting back watching it, especially.
Right, very nice seats they have in the RDS currently. I think when the new Anglesey is completed, they'll be hoping to get something similar. We're looking forward to watching this two-piece documentary. First one is out this week, and we'll get to see next week the second piece when it comes out. Jordan Larmour, thanks a million for taking time to chat to us on Off the Ball this evening.